What's going on, everybody? Let me just check here. Yes, we are live. Welcome back to another edition of Spoiler Talk with me, Lone Fox. Today we're talking about. Well, I mean it's 83. I always get like 83 cards. How am I gonna get through this? But that's all the alternate arts and stuff. So it's actually a little bit less than that, but still a lot of cards to talk about. So I am going to, without further ado, jump straight into some spoiler talkage, and here we go. Some of the comments I might just skip over quite quickly. There's a lot of this draft chaff, or stuff for Commander. My channel is focused very much so on standard, so yeah, we'll just have to skip past those as quickly as possible. So, card number one, Ginny Jimmy. I like that. It's a Ginny Wincier. When Ginny Wincier enters the battlefield, roll a d20. So this is going to be crazy. Already all over the internet, like Facebook groups that I'm part of, etc., they're talking about the problem with the d20 dice. Already, there's so many memes about, oh, the shuffler's busted. Now everybody's going to start talking about, oh, the dice roller's busted. But I'm not a conspiracy theorist when it comes to that stuff. So I'm very sure that it will be absolutely fine and randomized, and we're going to be rolling a lot of dice, d20s, during this set. So whenever it enters the battlefield, you roll the dice. If you get 1 to 9, you scry 1. If you get 10 to 19, you scry 2. If you hit the magic 20 number, then you get to scry 3. For a 3/3 flyer that costs 4, pretty cool. Probably more of this like blue tempo deck that's starting to rear its ugly head from the meta. The next one is called Scion of Stygia. A 3-mana, 2 colorless, and a blue creature, Thiefling Shaman with flash that has also got some sort of rolling going on. So when it enters the battlefield, you choose a target creature an opponent controls, then you roll the dice. If you get between 1 and 9, you tap that creature. If you get between 10 and 20, that creature doesn't untap until its next untap phase. Really good. But definitely more drafty kind of stuff. But like, wow, that's a good card. I just don't see it really fitting into standard somewhere. But because of the cost and what else is already on that point on the mana curve, unless some new like all about little rolling dice deck appears, and I will show you what I mean about that in a moment, because there's a few blue cards here that are like looking really interesting when it comes to rolling dice decks. I can't wait to try all of these. By the way, we are now 5 days away. Champagne bottle. Oh my god, I cannot wait. It's so close. Next up, we have Critical Hit. Pretty cool. Instant speed, 1, 2, 1 and a red, uncommon. That gives a target treats a double strike until end of turn. So you can put this on your Goldspan Dragon. Okay, listen to me here. There's another card that's. Let me just skip ahead to it so that I can complete this train of thought. Old Gnawbone. Okay. I get it. This is expensive stuff, but there's going to be so much treasure token creation that I think these scarily high-priced cards don't need to be so scary as we think they are. I think we're going to be able to play them much sooner than turn 7. So Old Gnawbone, a 7/7 that costs 7, 5 and 2 green, mythic dragon with flying, of course. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. Okay. So you play this at some point. Then you have Goldspan. You swing in with Goldspan. You get the treasure token. You put Critical Hit on Goldspan. It gains double strike until end of turn. Suddenly you get 8 treasure tokens, which with Goldspan in play is the equivalent of 16 mana of any 2 colors. Of any. Like Teamer Dragons, I'm gonna go crazy. Just ramp Green Dragon, Galazeth, Goldspan. Like the curve is gonna be so perfect. I'm frothing at the mouth to build decks. I'm like, whew. Anyway, so then not only does it do that, which is pretty good for what it costs. There's other cards in standard already that give creature double strike, but then it also says that when you roll a natural 20, return critical hits from your graveyard to your hand. So, you know, you could be getting 20s, and then you start to also get these back to your hand. I kind of like that as well, like as an added little bit of like, this card's going to definitely see play in my Dragons deck. It's going to take over from that double, what's the other one called? Double Strike or Dual Strike. Next up, we have Hoarding Ogre. Uh, Pretty cool, actually, even though it's kind of weirdly priced, and I'm not sure where it would fit in which deck. But when it attacks, you roll a d20, and between 1 and 9, you create 1 treasure token. Between 10 and 19, you create 2 treasure tokens, and then if you hit the mythical 20, you create 3 treasure tokens. So I'm not gonna, like, I didn't think they would push it this hard. There's some insane amounts of treasure token creation going on in the set. Sorry, I just have to put this somewhere better in my room for signal because I'm getting the hated. Maybe just propping it up will make the difference. I'm getting the little yellow pip here for my stream status. I hope that fixes itself at some point. Next up, Jaded Sellsword. When the Jaded Sellsword enters the battlefield, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, it gains first strike and haste until end of turn. There's also a lot of cards with this text on it. If mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, or if mana from a treasure was spent to activate this ability. Da, 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 da. So, I mean, there's going to be so many treasures. Oh, yeah. Crazy set, broken stuff, Jank Lord's Paradise. Again, I won't stop saying this. I'm frothing. Another giant, really expensive giant, but again, with the treasures, might not be that hard to get into play, but this looks mostly to be like some sort of one-off bomb in a draft deck. You go 3 life. It doesn't even have trample. It's a 7/6, just dies to removal. Probably kind of rubbish. I'm going to skip over these ones, as I usually do, and then come back to them if we don't find the actual other copy of Displacer Beast. Let's see here. Maybe I'll find it now for you guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Displacer. Okay. Seems to be the only, unless it's one of these in another language that I'm not. Okay, well, let's just read it this way then. Displacer Beast. Oh no, it's because we got it the other day. This was spoiled yesterday. It's just one of these. You can return it to your hand and keep playing it again to venture into the dungeon. It's a 3/2 cat beast. Kind of pathetic. Next up, we have Gretchen, Twitch Willow. By the way, this is the first time I'm looking at these. We're doing this together. I like this. Welcome to my lounge. Let us talk about new cards. A Halfling Druid in Simic colors. This is looking to be the Simic or Quandrix uncommon signpost card. You pay 4 and you draw a card, and you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. There's a lot of cards like this that came out in Quandrix in the last set, Strixhaven. Quandrix Apprentice, I think, and Quandrix Pledge Mage. They both have like similar abilities where you're either, one had Magecraft, and then you can look for a land and play it. The other one had like tap, put a land onto the battlefield, that kind of stuff. So quite similar. This is a little bit more high cost, but it has a higher toughness, so it survives Bone Crusher Giants and that sort of stuff. So this mon might actually end up being the better one. Let's see how that turns out. Here's the normal art. Wow, super nice. Plant what you wish to see grow. Listen for the stories you want to hear told. I'm a little mousy. Lovely flavor text. We've already had a look at Zariel, the Archduke of Avernus. This art is just epic. I think if this is in the, if I can buy this somehow or get it with gems or whatever, I'm gonna splurge because this art is freaking epic. Way better than the other one. I don't think I have much more to add to this. It's gonna be pretty damn cool. I am still trying to figure out exactly where I would put it, but I think that's a great replacement in the mana curve for mono red to get, once Torbrand rotates out, they've got nothing really that's that great to play on the turn 4, so they could play this. Also in your sort of like little weenies decks, or a sacrifice Rakdos deck, because you're creating these devils that then you can sack and it does damage. And I think this might have lots of homes, and I'm definitely going to craft some on day 1. Volo we have already talked about. But we can have a quick look at it again. Whenever you cast a creature spell that doesn't share creature type with a creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, copy that spell. So another Simic copying thing. Legendary Human Wizard. Unfortunately, it's highly bone crushable. But you can say that about a lot of things, and it is rotating out in a few months. So this might become pretty cool. Then your sort of maybe Orvar, dual, what's it called? Dual Major. There's so many cards now in Standard that do copying things. So I still haven't been able to make a really good one, but keep your eyes peeled. This we already talked about yesterday, but this card is insane. I'm going to quickly go over it again for those who missed yesterday's video. This card is insane. Okay, Flying Frampla. It's got 2 modes. When it enters the battlefield, you choose one. You can either give other creature X, -X, until end of turn, and you lose X life. So, it's got an X cost and its casting cost. You can cast it for, whatever. It's a way of, like, having an ETB trigger that removes something for, the typical sort of downside that Rakdos or black cards have, where you lose a bit of life. But there's cards that I showed you the day before yesterday that, you can make then a zombie token when you lose life, or you draw a card at your next end step when you've lost life. So there's a bunch of cool little things that you can do with that. I'm not very well versed in this type of deck. I've steered clear from Rakdos. It's really not my preferred color combo, but since the cat oven is buggering off, and also Croxa and things, it's going to be a slightly like different thing. I'm really looking forward to giving it a try and seeing if it's up my alley, or my cup of tea, as they say. But the other mode on it is what really gets my juices flowing. You can return up to X target creature cards with total mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. They gain haste until end of turn with no downside. So it's not like, and you gain X life like in the first one. So you could do like X6 and just return like a bunch of creatures back from your graveyard that were, sack fodder before, and then start sacking things again. And it's a 5/3 Frampla. Orcus, Prince of Undeath. Legendary Demon Tribal. There's some other great demons in Standard that I'm going to be playing around with. I cannot freaking wait. Next up, Pixie Guide. I'm going to skip this one because it's down here in the normal art, and I prefer this one. This is the one I was talking about earlier when it comes to rolling dice. There's a lot of payoffs or ways to help you double that, or I'm starting to see that, it's not just that you roll the dice, but there's cards that get things that happen to them when you roll a dice, or like that other one, like if you roll a d20 and you get the 20, and on any other card, then you can return it from your graveyard. So this is just a 1/3 flyer, so it gets past Bone Crusher, and it grants an advantage. If you would roll one or more dice, instead roll that many dice +1 and ignore the lowest roll. So pretty cool. You get a crappy roll, you get instantly another one that's gonna, you can try both of them and pick the one that's better, or the one that you prefer. So epic. That's just one. I mean, it's not an incredibly good card, but that's a cool ability if you're making a dice rolling deck. That's for sure. Next up, Delina the Wild Mage. This card is busted, I think. I like the creature types as well. It's a red elf. We don't have many of those. There's only the 3/3 that gains first strike on your turn, and then you can pump it up to the mana, no amount of lands that you control. Oh my goodness, I hate it when I draw a blank. Let me just quickly, I do have my client open here, so I can, it is a Gilgari elf. Here we go, Rada, Heart of Keld, elf warrior. It's the only other red elf that I can think of in Standard. Yeah, so pretty cool. Maybe some sort of giant elves list with We'll have to see, because there's some black elves, and there's definitely some good green elves. So anyway, when she attacks, you choose target creature you control. Then you roll a d20. If you get between 1 and 14, you create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary and it has exile this creature at the end of combat. So, you know, even something like Goldspan Dragon or whatever, or maybe Velomachus, I'm just off the top of my head. In this case, sorry, if you get 15 to 20, which is quite likely, you create one of those tokens that we just talked about in the first one. It doesn't have exile at the end of combat. Oh no, it does. It does, because it's the same token. But then you get to roll again, so you might get more than one. Sort of storm off with the wild mage. If you get 15 to 20 again, you roll again. 15 to 20 again, you make like a lot of those tokens. Woo! Ooh, this is going to be so fun to play, and I really love the art. I really like that art. Next up, we have a legendary artifact for 5 mana called the Deck of Many Things. Interesting. Roll a d20. You pay 2, you roll a d20, tapping the Deck of Many Things, and you subtract the number of cards in your hand. If the result... What? Okay, so you roll a d20. The number you get, you minus the number of cards from your hand's number from the number that you got from the roll. If the result is 0 or less, you discard your hand. Okay, that's interesting. And then 1 to 9, you return a card at random from your graveyard to your hand. 10 to 19, draw 2 cards. 20, put a creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. When that creature dies, its owner loses the game. Okay, that's weird. Hello, cousin. I'm streaming. Do you want to be on my stream? Yeah. Next up, we've got Monk class. This is a new enchantment type that they're bringing out in the next set. I'm really looking forward to playing with these, and they all seem to be very competitively costed and do a lot of really good things. And they're not legendaries. You can have multiple of them on the battlefield. If you haven't had a chance to really figure out how this works, I highly recommend that you follow the Magic the Gathering YouTube. Oh no, not the esports one. The other one. Here we go. They did a video on this yesterday and it explains it in detail. Class enchantments. Essentially, you need to be paying. So they all have a static ability, so you get something straight away as soon as it comes into the battlefield. But then you can gain the next level as a sorcery. So you pay another 2, 1 white, 1 blue, and when this class becomes level 2, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So very much on the color pie when it comes to Azorius. And then level 3, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. For as long as it remained exiled, it has you may cast this card from exile as long as you've cast another spell this turn. So if you have more of these onto the battlefield, you're going to be exiling multiple cards at the beginning of each upkeep. And then you can like storm off with them. That's pretty damn cool. Monk class. I like it. I like this class thing. This is going to change the game significantly more than rolling dice or any of the other stuff. A new enchantment class. I like it. We've already seen Ginny, the Windseer, but let's have a look at this alternate art. Pretty sexy. I like. Then we've got this one, which is a Vampiro. Looks like a Spanish card. Regente de la Puerta del Oeste. I think they translated that wrong. That seems like the East Door, Regent of the East Door, and here it's the Moody Lord of the Night. But okay, a 4/4 that costs 5. That's a vampire with flying. Discard a card whenever a creature you become the target of a spell or ability and opponent controls. Yes, please. I would love a coffee. Counter it unless that player discards a card. Whenever Moody, Lord of the Night, deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Meh, I don't know. I think this is just a load of crap, to be honest. Discard a card. Flying Ward. So flying and ward. Whenever a creature okay. Counter unless the player discards a card. So that's the script. Sorry, it's because it's badly laid out here, and I can't read the Spanish properly. So this is its ward ability. This is its keyword ability, and then this is what it does. So whenever Moody Lord of the Night deals combat damage to a player, so it's typical vampire stuff. But that's really expensive. I guess it's like they've already spoiled one werewolf and one vampire. You know, getting ready for Innistrad. Double set drop in September. Oh my god, I can't wait for that as well. But let's not get too excited. We still have to figure out the meta in D&D and play this for the next 3 months, which is going to be epic. Next up, we have Contact Other Plane. I really dig this little character. I'm sure it's going to be in the lore. He's come up on other cards. It's cool. He looks like one of those World of Warcraft characters, the little goblins, I think they were, or pixies or something. Anyway, really cool little dude here. I like him. Instant speed for 4. You roll the dice. So again, a lot of rolling going on in blue. If you get between 1 and 9, you draw 2 cards. If you get between 10 and 19, you scry 2, then draw 2 cards. That's epic. I think CGB is going to love this. Scry 3 and you draw 3 cards if you get the 20. Epic. Imagine you have this guy in play. A pixie guide in play, and then you have this guy. You get to get the preferred roll every time and draw a lot of cards. That's pretty cool. And scry and smooth out your hand. Misalaiki. Next up, we have a Gnome Warlock, Feywild Trickster. Really cool art as well. Whenever you roll 1 or more dice, here we go. Again, blue with the rolling dice thing. Create a 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature ooh, a dragon, a fairy dragon. Like the one that I was playing in my deck just yesterday. Isn't it a fairy dragon as well? No, not Goldspan. Sprite dragon. It is a fairy dragon. Cool. Cool. I like that. Some sort of a little bit of a, let's see. I mean, maybe Prismari dragons with some dice rolling going on, and a Feywild Trickster as a way of making loads of those, and then Draconic Intervention. Although, like I said, that card's probably going to just become completely useless in the next set because everybody's going to be playing dragons, and it doesn't kill dragons. So I don't know. Maybe in a sideboard, couple copies, but yeah, I think Draconic Intervention is going to become quite useless next set. Next up, we have Lightfoot Rogue, a Halfling Rogue. 2 mana, 1 colorless and a black for an uncommon 2/1 that has, whenever it attacks, roll a d20. Lightfoot Rogue gains Death Touch until end of turn between 9. So okay, it's cool. You attack and then roll the dice. So you either get Death Touch, you either get +1/+0 and Death Touch, or you get +3/+0 Death Touch and First Strike. Epic. Pretty cool regardless. No matter what, if they have a blocker up, they're going to take damage. If you put this in a, what's his name again? Oh my god, I'm not remembering card names today. Finn the Fangbearer. Regardless of what happens, you're going to have Death Touch and get a poison counter off of Finn. If he swings in, no matter which dice you roll, he always gets Death Touch. But if you get, if there's a blocker and you also get +3/+0 First Strike and Death Touch, then that's, of course, way better. So pretty cool little uncommon there. We'll have to keep our eye on that. This is the dwarf I was waiting for, but it's freaking 2 mana again. I mean, there's too many red dwarfs on that point in the curve. You can't just play only 2 drops. I mean, you can, but I wanted a 1-drop red dwarf. I mean, spoiler season isn't over yet, so never say never. But when are we gonna get that? Just a 1 red mana cost dwarf. Doesn't even have to do much. I just want to be able to drop something on turn 1 that isn't, the other white dwarf, the Staunch Shield Bearer, which is anyway rotating out in September. So please let us hope to dear God of MTG, WotC, that there is going to be a 1 mana dwarf coming. in this set. But anyway, this is a 2-mana dwarf, brazen dwarf, dwarf shaman, that whenever you roll 1 or more dice, dwarf deals 1 damage to each opponent. Meh. Probably kind of useless unless you're trying to do some sort of dice rolling red deck. We'll have to see about that. Swarming goblins. This is cool. Although it's quite expensive. 5 mana, 4 and a red. You put down a creature, goblin, that when it enters the battlefield, you can either create a 1/1 red goblin between 1 and 9. You can create 2 or 3 of them. So pretty damn sweet. Thank you. No sugar. Thank you, bro. Very sophisticated. What a lovely cousin I have. He really sorts me out with the caffeine at the best moments. Yes. So pretty cool. Way to make a lot of goblins. Like I was talking about in Spoiler Talk Part 1 and 2, I'm looking forward to making a new goblin deck, which is going to feature this card for sure. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We have already spoiled this card. Came out at the end of yesterday's spoiler video, I think. Yes, here we go. Instrument of the Bards. So I won't talk too much about it. It is pretty cool though. It's a great 1-drop in any green deck. You just play it, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you organically get a counter on it, a harmony counter. And then once you get to turn 4, you can tap it and search your library for a 4/4 and put it into your hand. It would be cool if it was onto the battlefield, but then this would be incredibly busted. So it's still pretty good. You can go searching for the creatures that you want, and then next turn you can put another. It will get another counter on it, and then you can go searching for a 5/5 and so on and so forth. And then if that card is legendary, you can create a treasure token as well, and you get to kind of constantly shuffle if if that's important. Treasure chest. I think we've already spoiled this one. This just seems to be a different art for it. You can pay 4, sacrifice it, and then you roll a d20, and then if you get a 1, it's you're trapped. If you get a 20, you search your library for a card. If it's an artifact card, you may put it into the battlefield. Otherwise, put that card into your hand and shuffle. Then so those are like the extremes, and then in the middle there are these 2, which are pretty good value. Either gain 3 life and draw 3 cards, or create 5 treasure tokens. So it's a bit expensive, 3, then 4. If you want to do this on the same turn that it comes into play, because it doesn't have summoning sickness, because it is an artifact, you can do stuff with it straight away. But you're going to need 7. But then if you get the right thing off, you might get 5 tokens off it straight away, or replenish your hand, or you just play it on turn 3, and then you kind of having trouble getting what you want on turn 4. You can then pay a layer land and sacrifice it on turn 4. I think this is actually better than I initially thought it was. We're going to have to keep our eyes peeled on that. Aha! Another class. Cleric class. Mono white, baby. My faves. Some of my faves. And I love clerics. So, yeah. Let's talk about this cleric class. If you would gain life, you gain that much life plus 1 instead. So it's the static ability of that stupid angel that they have in the arena only cards. It used to be in M20, I think. Angel of Vitality. Pretty cool. And there's a couple of there's a new green card in Strixhaven that does that as well, but it's too expensive to play in standard. Then if you pay 3 plus 1 white, you go to level 2 cleric, and then whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Oh baby, that is so sweet. Oh, that is so freaking sweet. Oh my god, that is so sweet. Watch people start to run a lot more enchantment removal, because these are going to be epic in my opinion. Next up we have level, if you reach the level, I mean, imagine if you could do this at instant speed. And you can only pay to gain the levels at sorcery speed, but that's okay. You pay 5, you gain level 3 cleric status. When this class becomes level 3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You gain life equal to its toughness. Whew. Epic. Really, really epic. Oh my god. So stoked. So freaking stoked. And by the way, all of these things are cumulative, right? So it's not like if you are level 3 that this stops happening. You get all 3 of these things all the time. Wow. classes are going to be crazy, and they're going to change the game a lot, and I'm really looking forward to playing them. Next up, we have the Dancing Sword. 2 mana, 1 and a white artifact equipment. That's rare. An equipped creature gets +2/+1. Whenever a equipped creature dies, you may have Dancing Sword become a 2/1 construct artifact creature with flying and ward 1. If you do, it isn't an equipment anymore. I like it because the hand flew off. Pretty sweet. Interesting. I like the art. We'll have to see where this fits. Equipment decks have been pretty crappy, but I'm dying to make them work, so we'll have to see where that ends up. Guardian of Faith. This is going to be good because it has flash. It's like a better version of the more recent flash guy in white. Guardian of something. Sigrid, God Favored, and also Glorious Protector. That both have flash. You know, they come in and either get rid of the stuff on the battlefield that you. So they come at you with the sweeper on turn 4. You already have this in your hand because it's, you know, your turn 3. So you don't cast anything, and you've got like your little guys on the field you don't want to be losing, like say your Luminarch Aspirant and stuff like that. And then you flash this in, and any number of other target creatures you control phase out, so they cannot get wiped. Of course, Guardian of Faith will get wiped, but let's say it's a extinction event, and they go for even, and you've got a bunch of even guys. Beg your pardon, my wife is calling me. Just need to tell her. Arrivo. She wants me to hurry up and go to the beach. Okay, so that's it for Guardian of Faith. Pretty cool little sweeper protector. Which is also, you know, on top of a 3/2 flying body with vigilance. Next up, we have Ingenious Smith. When Ingenious Smith enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever one or more artifacts enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on Ingenious Smith. Yeah, she's having a tough time with my kid alone on the beach. It's like, yeah, welcome to my life. I do that every single day. Just kidding. She's great. She's given me this little bit of time so that I can do the stream for you guys, and because I really wanted to look at the spoilers. Sorry, let me just read this one again. I was distracted. When it enters the battlefield, you may look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card, so that's, you know, all in pretty much all equipments, and put it into your hand. Put the rest into the bottom of your library in a random order. When one or more artifacts enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on Ingenious Smith. This ability triggers once each turn. So you can, you know, this is a great target to put equipments onto, for example. And like artifacts is starting to be, this is going to be a really cool set for artifacts. I'm still not sure on the deck I would build, but I will keep you posted as the meta progresses. Just keep your eyes on this channel. I'm going to be pumping out new decks every single day like a madman over the next few weeks. Next up, we have Minimus Containment, an enchantment aura. Cool. Enchant non-land permanent. Enchanted permanent is a treasure artifact with tap. Sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color, and it loses all other abilities. So you do give your opponent, let's say you put this on a Professor Onyx, anything, really. My uncle in the background. A bit of a busy stream today. Enchant non-land permanent. Enchanted permanent. So basically, they still get to make some mana, but they lose that permanent. So pretty cool. Next up, Paladin class. Have we already gone over Paladin class? No, monk class, cleric class, paladin class. Epic. Sorry, they're so loud. I've got workers. They come in and fix the house or some rubbish. My uncle is talking to them right on the balcony. I'm so sorry, guys. That's what happens and why I try to avoid streaming during the day usually. But how's it, Max? Thanks for jumping on the stream, my bro. So, Paladin class. Spells your opponent casts during your turn cost 1 more to cast. Cool. You pay 3 to level it up, and creatures you control all get +1/+1. Also very cool. And then if you become a level 3 Paladin, this is a rare class. It's the first time I've seen a rare class. The other ones have all been uncommons, so I'm assuming there's going to be a common and uncommon of each type. Oh, that is so sweet. Whenever you attack until the end of turn, target attacking creature gets +1/+1 for each other attacking creature and gains double strike. Oh! Woo! And it just cost 1. They all cost 1. I mean, the white ones so far have all costed 1. Oh, I'm dying to play this. Arcane Investigator. 2-mana elf wizard. 1 and a blue. Search the room. Pay fucking 6 to roll a d20. Nah, this is rubbish. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand. This is rubbish. This is, I won't even read it. That's draft chaff. Because I wanted to get to this card quickly and talk about it extensively. Because this is ridiculous. This is busted. Let me see if Max, are you still on the stream? No, you're not. Damn it. I wanted to ask you if you can hear my uncle talking outside, but I hope these windows are closed. I'm doing a good job of blocking them out. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery you've cast this turn. So this could potentially cost nothing to cast, okay? If you've cast 4 little one mana spells during the turn, this comes into play for free. Who has freaking sugarless coffee? I always put sugar in my coffee. That was horrible, but I did need the energy. Yeah. Gotta bake something on top of that. Get that nasty flavor on my mouth. That was so bitter. Okay. Whenever it attacks, you exile 1 target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. You copy it. You may cast that copy. You may cast Emulate from your graveyard by exiling 4 instants and or sorcery cards from your graveyard in addition to paying its other costs. This isn't like a blue storm deck, with loads of spells, or, is it probably, because, you see the 4 blue pips, and you go, oh crap, we're not going to be able to play this in anything other than a mono blue deck. But because of the cost reduction, this could just end up costing 1 or 2 blue, and then so that's easily much more costable in a Prismari deck. So I think this was intended to go into some sort of Prismari spells deck, and I'm dying to give it a whirl. I mean, you've got all those crazy spells like Magma Opus and stuff that you're discarding now. And then whenever it attacks, you exile. Although, you still have to pay for the copy. Okay, so probably not good to do with big spells. But anyway, regardless, this is a busted card. I think it still needs to be figured out exactly what to do with this. But such greats as what's his face, Croaky's is frothing about this one. Just go look at his Twitter. He's like already theory crafting his ass off. Next up, we have Power of Persuasion. A 3-mana sorcery, 2 and a blue, uncommon. Choose a target creature an opponent controls, then roll a d20. You either return it to its owner's hand, you either put it on the bottom of the library, or top or bottom, and then you gain control of it if you get to 20 until the end of next turn. It's still pretty cool. I like that. Next up, we have a 5-mana giant warrior, 3 and 2 blue, with ward. That's it. Just a big body with ward. Meh. Probably more for draft. Or limited, that's what I meant. Next up we have Shocking Grasp. Target creature gets -2/-0 until end of turn, and you get to draw a card. Nice. For 2 mana instant speed, you make an attacker, get smaller, and you draw a card. That's pretty cool. This one is really, really busted. Wizard's class. You have no maximum hand size straight away off the top. So you know, decks that draw a lot of cards. This is going to be crazy. When this class becomes level 2, you draw 2 cards, and whenever you draw a card, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Ooh, baby, baby, baby. These class enchantments. Next up, Wizard's Spellbook. Really expensive as well, but again, with all these treasures going around, this might not be such a problem to cast earlier than turn 7. A rare artifact for 7, 5 and 2 blue. Exile target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard. Roll a d20. Activate only as a sorcery. Copy that card if you get 1 or 9, and cast the copy. See, this is what I don't understand. Do I have to pay to cast that, or is it just free cast? And I have the same question about that Demi Lich or whatever that we just looked at earlier. Is it free or do you have to pay? Because then if it is free, then suddenly what I said about the crazy big spells like Magma Opus and stuff becomes very relevant. Next up we have 10 to 19. You may copy that card and you may cast the copy by paying 1. Okay, see, okay. So you do have, okay. So you want to be getting the 10 to 19. And you can cast the Magma Opus for 1. Woo! Nice. And if you get the 20, you copy each card exiled with Wizard Spellbook. You may cast any number of those copies without paying the mana costs. Epic. I mean, I wouldn't be building a deck around getting 20 any consistent fashion, but if you do get the 20, that's a pretty epic payoff. That's a pretty epic payoff, and you're constantly exiling instants of sorceries from your graveyard with this. So eventually you'll get it, and then it's just going to be cool. Next up, we have a Death Priest of Meyer a Tiefling Cleric. 4 mana for a 2/2. Interesting. But skeletons, vampires, and zombies you control get +1/+1 at the beginning of your end step. If a creature died this turn, you may pay 1. If you do, you create a 1/1 black skeleton creature token. Epic. Oh yes, I'm making a zombie deck with that other crazy zombie card, the enchantment that has 3. I mean, sorry, the 3 mana. There's already like a lot of synergies, either black green or just mono black zombies. There's some crazy good new stuff in mono black. This guy, the Book of Vile Darkness, also the Orb of something that exiles everything for X. This thing, the Sphere of Annihilation, and like a lot of payoffs for having zombies or sacrificing zombies, and we still haven't seen what this zombie god token looks like that this guy creates. What's it called? Vecna. Legendary 8/8 zombie god token with indestructible. I am really looking forward to making a zombie deck again. Like it's something I enjoy in Magic. Anyway, onwards we go. I have to rush to the beach. My wife is needing assistance. Next up we have, where was I? Herald of Hedar. 5 mana for a human warlock. That's a 4/4. And you need to pay 6 to roll the d20. 5 and a black. Each opponent loses 2 life. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Or the final one, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life and you create 2 treasure tokens. Maybe a one-of, mono black dice rolly deck. Pretty cool. I don't know. Probably more drafty kind of stuff, really. Another elf warlock. Didn't we just... Oh no, tiefling cleric. Anyway, there's a lot of elves with other things going on here. I like it. An elf warlock. When hired Hexblade enters the battlefield if mana from a treasure. See what I meant? There's more than one of these. If mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, written on a lot of cards in this set. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. Okay. Probably more limited. Don't see that finding anywhere in standard. Sepulchre Ghoul, a zombie, another zombie. sacrifice another creature, so without tapping. So you can sacrifice over and over and over again without tapping, and then it grows every time. Oh no, you can only activate it once each turn, but still, endless sacrifice place is always good. It's like your Immerstrom Dragon guy and the Scry Escaper dude. War Strider. Warlock class. Yes. 1 mana again for a class enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. Man. When this class becomes level 2, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, you put one of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. And then when you reach level 3, it's really expensive, but at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. What? Epic. Epic. These classes are so epic. Next up, we have Barbarian class. If you would roll 1 or more dice instead, roll that many dice plus 1 and ignore the lowest roll. Boom. So you get to do that twice with certain cards that have already spoiled. Interesting. Whenever you roll 1 or more dice, target creature you control gets +2/+0 at level 2 and gains menace. And if you get it to level 3, which isn't very hard to do because it's only 3 mana, then all the creatures you control have haste. This is going to be super, super duper sick. Oh my goodness. I cannot freaking wait. Ooh, a lovely 1-drop Goblin. I was waiting to see if there would be one. With haste. And whenever it becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to target creature blocking it. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like this. I'm going to play this in my Goblin deck. Bashal. Next up, we have the Goblin Morningstar. Goblin deck. An artifact equipment for 2, 1 in red. Equipped creature gets +1 and +0 and has trample. And when it enters the battlefield, you roll a d20. If you get 1 or 9, you create a red Goblin creature token. If you get 10 to 20, you create a creature token. And you can then attach the Goblin Morningstar to it straight away. That's going to happen quite often. I like that. I like that a lot. It's like my uncle was born in a cave. You could close the bloody door, couldn't you? Sorry. Where was I? Next up, we have the Hulking Bugbear. We're getting to the good stuff here, guys. Hulking Bugbear is a 3 mana goblin with haste. That's it. Just a 3/3 for 3 with haste. Pretty cool. Probably more kind of drafty stuff, but we'll have to see. Might actually deserve a spot in the meta somewhere there with my Goblin deck that's coming up. Next up, we have Price of Loyalty. 3 mana for a sorcery, 2 in a red. Okay, it's one of these like gain control of type effects. There's always one in every set. You gain control of target creature until end of turn. You untap that creature, it gains haste, and then Rakdos deck they'll sacrifice it afterwards with the village rites or something like that, or the oven or something like that. But anyway, steel and sack decks are never going to go anywhere. It gains. Fortunately, they're not that good. So there's not too many of them up and down the ladder because it's one of the most annoying things. And you're like, yeah, I got a creature down that's going to do something, and then they just steal it and sack it and, attack you with it first. And if mana from a treasure was spent to cast a spell, so there is that line of text again, then that creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn as well. So, dang, pretty annoying. That's going to be super duper annoying. Next up, we have the red dragon. We've had one of each of the colors: red dragon, blue dragon, green dragon, black dragon, white dragon. This one has fire breath. Costs 5. When it enters the battlefield, you can deal 4 damage to each opponent. So if you have already a Terror of the Peaks down, this comes into play. You do 8 damage, and then you swing with Terror of the Peaks as well. That could be pretty busted. Interesting. I like this. Anything with like a 4 damage to the face as an ETB is right up my alley. It's a little bit pricey, but with all the treasures going on, once again, I'm going to be repeating this, but I don't think it's going to be too hard to get that down way sooner than turn friggin' 6. Next up, we have the Zorn. An elemental. If you would create 1 or more treasure tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional treasure token. Cool. Man, it's gonna be insane. How many treasure tokens are we gonna be making in this set? It's bone crusherable, but you know, it's stompable. But I like it. That's cool. Loathsome troll. Uh, okay, that's a creepy ass troll. For 5 mana, it's a 6/2, and you can pay 4 to roll a d20, and you can only activate it once it's in your graveyard. Okay. You can return it to the top of your library if you get 1 to 9, or you can return it to your hand if it's you get 10 to 19, or you can return it to the battlefield tapped if you get to 20. That's actually pretty cool. A recurring troll guy that you get to roll dice from the graveyard. Pretty nice. I like the flavor text here, but I can't read it because it's in Spanish. Estrangulador e espreta, the lurking roper. Strangulator is like a strangle. Same root verb. Hola, as estalactites pendendo teto. Is that even Spanish? That might even be Portuguese. Anyway, it ends in a doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever you gain life, untap lurking roper. Okay, interesting. I already talked about this one earlier, but this is gonna be so epic. Old Norbone, 7/7 flyer that gives you a treasure token for each point of damage you do to a player. You know, oh my god, don't even get me started. There's so many good things I'm going to be doing with this. This is going to be ridiculous. I cannot wait to get 4 copies of this, slam it in my, like, you know, not Golgari, oh my god, what am I thinking? You know, Gruul. My Gruul Dragons deck is going to just be freaking buster with this card. Ranger class. So it seems like all the rare classes cost 2 and all the uncommon ones cost 1. Ranger class, 2 mana, 1 and a green. When Ranger class enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Then you can level it up for 2, and whenever you attack, you put a +1/+1 counter on a target attacking creature. Epic. And then for 4, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. That is so cool. Amazing. These classes are going to be amazing. I cannot stress this enough. Next up, Scaled Herbalist. A 2 mana Lizard Druid. That's a 1/3. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. That's actually pretty cool. But I don't think it's going to take the place of anything important in the you know, in actual standard competitive play. It's probably going to be in more of drafty type of card. You meet in a tavern. 4 mana, 2 and 2 forests. You choose one. You either form a party, and you look for the top 5 cards in your library. You may reveal any number of creature cards from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest into the bottom of your library in a random order, or you can start a brawl, and creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Pretty nice. I wonder. I'm not sure what I would do with this yet, but that's a pretty cool effect. Onwards, I have to steam ahead. I know my wife's going to be so pissed off at me. Next time. Okay, so here we go. Again, confirming my point there. All of the rare classes are 2 mana. Legendary creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them. Legendary spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. This effect only reduces the amount of colored mana you play. So go Gruul colors once again. And then 5, to get to level 3, whenever you cast a legendary spell, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. Amazing. Fighter class. Again, now in Lorehold colors. Whenever fighter class enters the battlefield, you may search your library for equipment, help. Card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Equip abilities you activate cost 2 less to activate. Yes! An equipment deck is forming. There's so many good equipment things happening. Finally, Nahiri might become a playable card. You pay 5. Whenever a creature you control attacks, up to 1 target creature blocks it this combat if able. Amazing. Here is the signpost uncommon for Rakdos, human elf. That creature type again. Bard. When Kalain, Reclusive Painter, enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Pretty cool. And other creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on them for each mana from a treasure you spent to cast them. So it's kind of like, yeah, there's loads of cards that do that in blue and in green. But this is like only for treasures. This card looks crazy, and it's the first card with, you know, Naya that I've seen in a long time. Naya cost there. 1 red, 1 green, 1 white. For a legendary human ranger. It comes into the battlefield, you create boo! A legendary 1/1 red hamster creature token with trample and haste. And then you can pay X, you know, so you dump a bunch of mana into it, and then until the end of turn, target creature you control has base and power and toughness of X and this X and becomes a giant in addition to its other types. Activate only as a sorcery. So, you know, you probably won't be saving Boo. They might just kill it straight away. But if you have something else on the field, then you just dump a bunch of it because it doesn't have to be Boo. Any target creature you control. Make it into a huge giant with trample. Oh, no. Okay, so trample, it's only if it's on Boo. So, okay, I guess it has trample and haste. So you play this, you have a lot more mana open. You dump the mana straight away, and Boo attacks in with trample and haste. Pretty sweet. Pretty damn sweet. Next up, we have Rogue class. Yeah, Rogues. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library face down. You may look at it for as long as it remains exiled. Okay, creatures you control have menace. It's going to suck to play against. And then you can pay 4 to play cards exiled with Rogue class, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. Wow, that's good. That's really good. Sorcerer, wow, lots of classes. It's going to be interesting to like figure out the exact combination of ones that you want to run in your deck. Sorcerer class. When it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. So a pretty typical kind of is it thing. Level 2, creatures you control have tap, add 1 blue or 1 red. Spend this mana only to cast instants or sorceries to gain a class level. Cool. And then level 3, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, that spell deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of instant or sorceries you've cast this turn. Woo-hoo-hoo! This set is going to be so much fun to play. There isn't like one specific obvious thing that's happening. There's like, ooh, dragons, ooh, yes, equipments, dice rolling, classes, artifacts, treasures. I'm gonna just be playing so much Magic in the next few weeks. We've already had a look at Volo, thank God. I'm sort of saving a bit of time here. Bag of Holding, cool. This is like a typical D&D thing. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. Okay? For 1 mana artifact. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your draw card and discard a card. Or you pay 4 and Bag of Holding, return all cards, exile this Bag of Holding to its owner's hand. Pretty sweet. Okay, guys, look, my wife is like calling me over and over again. We've gone over all of these